multi-million-dollar Geelong star Gary Ablett has maintained his unblemished record after he successfully challenged his one-month for striking. He was banned by the match review panel for intentionally striking Dylan Shiel, and the dual Brownlow medalist argued the hit was unintentional and he was believed. Ablett is now free to play this weekend against North Melbourne on Sunday. Briefly, in the NRL judiciary, James Maloney also had a good night. New South Wales veteran pleaded not guilty to a chicken wing tackle on Canberra forward John Bateman. The Penrith 5'8" successfully argued he did not try to hurt Bateman. And in tennis, the draw is opening up for the Australian #1 Ash Barty at the Madrid Open. Two favourites fell out of competition overnight. The unseeded Katerina Kozlova upset Karolina Pliskova in 3 sets. Angelique Kerber has pulled out due to an ankle injury. Two of the big favourites are still in the draw, however. World #1 Naomi Osaka and Simona Halep. Ash Barty will next play tonight. She's seeded 9th with high hopes of a good finish here and then on to the French Open.
Thank you, PK. David Anderson, the ABC's newly appointed Managing Director, joins us a bit later in the show. So if you've got a question about the ABC, send it to us. We'll try to put as many questions to him as possible as the show goes on, including this one from Joel. Can you please scrap the new bananas and pyjamas and bring back the old format?
Oh.
Controversy. And could you please do reruns of the old Thomas the Tank Engine? That's one with Ringo.
Right.
I'm guessing. Okay. Anyway, those questions and more, send them in. We'll try to put as many of them to David Anderson. Let's go to the weather. Over to you, Nate.
Good morning, Michael. This looks like a horror film, but it's actually the inside of the dust storm that came through Mildura yesterday from Joshua Spence. The view from outside was no less impressive. That wall of dust coming through. It's all thanks to a system that's moving through the southeast. A cold front that's moved through the southeast has brought both dust storms and some very welcome rain. It's going to continue moving eastwards as the next front starts coming in. Now that's going to bring even heavier falls with storms and cold air leaving snow on the mountains. We've got a potential for 20 to 30 millimetres of rain for some parts. It's not going to make it very far north though, unfortunately. Certainly not up into Queensland, where the only wet weather we've got today is for the northeast and central coasts. Brisbane staying sunny, getting to 27. And that front's bringing a bit of wet weather to the southern interior of New South Wales. A fine day in Sydney though, 21. Canberra's getting an early shower or two, 14 there. In Victoria, the wet weather is clearing from the west, but the next lot will develop in the southwest around about midnight. Melbourne, your showers are easing, 17 today. We've got wet weather spreading right across Tasmania this morning. Not too much for the east coast though. Hobart will still see a shower or two, a top of 18. And coastal showers are clearing out of South Australia this morning. More will develop this evening. Adelaide, some showers, a top of 17. And in the west, we've got some wet weather along the southern coast, but a fine day in Perth, 23 degrees. Further north, apart from a slight chance of a shower for the Tiwis and the northeast of the top end, we're back to blue skies. Darwin staying mostly sunny, getting to 33.
Nice work, Nate. Thank you so much. So stick ahead. We are back in a couple of minutes. Later in the show as well, blues legend Eric Bibb joins us. He is a true megastar, this guy, Lisa.
And he's in Australia for a national tour. Take a listen.
Craving a fix. I am a homeless child on the street so mean. I am a movie star on the silver screen. I am a champion at the finish line. I am a beggar holding up the sign.
Tonight, Scott Morrison and Bill Shorten go head-to-head for the final time before the election.
If you can't manage money, Bill Shorten, you can't run a country.
The leaders champion their plans for the future of the nation.
For 6 years, Australian politics has been broken.
National Press Club Leaders Debate, tonight on ABC News.
So, do you have any suspects?
Harrow, the list of people who like to shoot here would stretch from here to Hobart.
Make welcome Dr. Grace Molyneux.
So, what do you think of the new pathologist?
I don't think of the new pathologist.
I will take away everything that you hold dear. Everything.
Harrow starts Sunday 8:40 on ABC and iView.
The
road to this federal election will have many twists and turns, and the campaign trail will keep a keen eye on all of them.
I think it probably is a vote winner for a lot of people.
From the major players to the key observers.
I mean, that's a lot of palaver and nonsense.
And the always powerful voice of the voters.
Costs just keep increasing, wages don't.
It really affects their life.
It's not a vote winner for me.
Bring back the school bonus. We're struggling.
Get a fresh take on the week's election news with me, Patricia Carvelis, on the campaign trail. Fridays on ABC News.
Election night is definitely a high wire act because you go out there and when you say hello and welcome to the program, you really don't know what is going to happen. You don't know are you going to be on for half an hour or 7 hours. So you do what you can to prepare. You study up on the seats, you study up on the issues. At the end of the day, you really are flying by the seat of your pants depending on what happens on the night. So that is both exhilarating and completely terrifying.
The families of Australian victims attend an inquest into the London Bridge terror attack.
I want to meet the first responders that tried to help Sarah and thank them for trying. And I just wanted to meet the other families that had suffered.
Bill Shorten goes on the attack over a newspaper story on his late mother.
I think this is a disappointing new low, Michael. You don't go after a bloke by using his mum.
More Australians are drinking to get drunk, according to a shocking new health report.
Have we seen the last of Israel Folau in a Wallabies jersey? The star found guilty of breaching rugby's code of conduct.
And taking it to the extreme, we'll have a closer look at the most memorable outfits from the Met Gala.
You're right there.
Welcome back on this Wednesday morning. You're watching News Breakfast. There have been emotional scenes at a London court on the first day of the inquest into the 2017 London Bridge terror attack. Relatives of the 8 people killed in the attack have attended the first day of the inquiry. Shortly after proceedings began, a minute's silence was held for the victims, including 2 Australians, 21-year-old Sarah Zelenak and 28-year-old Kirsty Bowden. In June 2017, 3 men mowed down pedestrians on London Bridge and then stormed the popular Borough Market wielding kitchen knives. 48 people were also injured in the incident. Outside court, the parents of Sarah Zelenak have spoken of their emotions leading up to the inquest.
It just brings up raw emotions. It doesn't change the facts. It was good to see the other victims' families. I just wanted to meet meet the first responders that tried to help Sarah and thank them for trying. And I just wanted to meet the other families that had suffered, and I want to tell them what we're doing in Sarah's honour. We all have our good days and bad days. Anything can trigger you off. It's like comes in waves. Yeah, but we're broken forever, but we have to help others.
Yes, some harrowing scenes there in that courtroom. Linton Besser, our correspondent, was there. We'll hear more from him a bit later this half hour. Good morning to you, Lisa Miller.
Good morning, Michael.
Yeah. What's that, 10 days to go before the election?
Counting. We're on to 2 hands.
I'm on to the hours. I'm on to the minutes.
I bet. But you're going to have a role to play on election night. You'll be there watching those figures tick through. I think so. Yep. I
guess so. Yeah, it'll be a big night. All eyes towards the National Press Club for the 3rd and final Leaders' Debate tonight. So more of that a bit later as well. Scott Morrison and Bill Shorten, in fact, are heading to the National Capital sometime today to prepare for that debate. The Prime Minister starts the morning in Sydney after a day filled with drama yesterday when a woman attempted to smash an egg on his head during an event in Albury. The protester was arrested and charged with both common assault and possession of cannabis. And don't forget, you can watch tonight's debate live from the National Press Club on both ABC TV and the ABC News channel from 7:30.
Labor and the Greens have been forced to defend preferencing an anti-vaccination campaigner in the seat of Richmond in New South Wales. Tom Barnett from the Involuntary Medication Objectors Party is placed ahead of the Nationals' Matthew Fraser. The ALP's How to Vote card also lists independent Ray Karam ahead of the coalition. Mr Karam has told the ABC he'll remain a member of a group called Universal Medicine, an organisation the New South Wales Supreme Court has labelled a socially harmful cult. Labor says the card was allocated to make it simpler for voters to follow.
A man has been stabbed in an alleged road rage attack in Melbourne's southeast. The 27-year-old man was taken to hospital with stab wounds to his leg and arm, while a 54-year-old driver suffered facial injuries after a fight broke out at the Glen Waverley police station. Police say the two drivers had tailed each other for some 40 kilometres after a road rage incident on the Tullamarine Freeway in Melbourne's north, crashing their cars along the way in the Domain Tunnel.
Actress Pamela Anderson has visited Julian Assange in prison, urging more people to show him support. The former Baywatch star, who wore a cape referencing free speech, was Mr Assange's first visitor at London's Belmarsh prison. The WikiLeaks founder is serving a 50-week sentence for skipping bail in 2012. He's also fighting extradition to the US. Ms Anderson says he's a good man and an incredible person.
I can't imagine what he's been going through. Good to see him. It was great to see him, but he's... this is just misrule of law in operation. It is absolute shock.
Two journalists who were freed from a Myanmar jail have been reunited with their families. The pair was convicted of breaking the Official Secrets Act last September and sentenced to 7 years in jail. They'd been investigating the massacre of men and boys during the Burmese military's brutal crackdown on Rohingya Muslims. The men were unexpectedly freed yesterday.
More Australians are drinking to get drunk, according to a new report. The Foundation for Alcohol Research and Education says that around 6 million people are consuming alcohol to become intoxicated, despite little change in the overall intake. It also found Australians remain confused about what constitutes low-risk and high-risk consumption.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have congratulated Prince Harry and Meghan Markle on the birth of their first child. The royal baby boy, who was 7th in line to the throne, was born yesterday around 5 in the morning local time. Prince William says he is delighted for his younger brother.
Absolutely thrilled and looking forward to seeing them in the next few days when things quieten down. And I'm very pleased and glad to welcome my brother to the Sleep Deprivation Society that is parenting.
Let's take a quick look at global markets. The Dow Jones has dropped around 473 points. London's FTSE has also fallen. The Australian dollar is worth 70.1 US cents. Tapis crude is sitting at 74 US dollars a barrel, and gold $1,284 US dollars an
US
ounce.
Dollars.
Yes.
Those big greenbacks.
Well, because I buy so much of it, Michael,
You
I
do.
just had to think that can't have been the price I paid for it last time.
Full of greenbacks, I hear. OK, let's go to the sport. PK's with us. Big news on Israel Folau last night.
Yes, that's right. Thank you very much, Michael. Israel Folau may have played his last game for the Wallabies after that independent panel found the Wallabies star guilty of a high-level breach of Rugby Australia's code of conduct. His controversial social media post denouncing homosexuality was subject to a marathon 3-day hearing that finished in Sydney last night. The type and length of the sanction hasn't been decided at this stage. Written submissions will be required from here. But that high-level breach permits Rugby Australia to terminate Folau's multi-million-dollar contract. We've also got a big guest coming up. Mitch Creek, one of Australia's best basketballers, recently plying his trade in the NBA. He's going to join us to talk to us about basketball and his career. And also Liverpool's knocked off Barcelona in the European Champions League in a big win. We'll show you those goals.
Lots to talk about. PK, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Let's see how your weather is shaping up this morning.
Morgan needs some runs, but he's talented.
Good morning, Michael. I've got rain, I've got
Finn
dust storms, I've got
a lot of
snow this
experience
morning.
in the
Plenty to talk
England
about, so
outfit.
stick around and we'll go through it all. For most of the country, though, it's a pretty fine day. Brisbane's getting to 27 with clear skies, 21 in Sydney today, sunny there too. For Canberra, some showers, a top of 14, and then after that is where we're seeing
special
all
moment
of
for
that
anyone
just
walking
crammed
out
into
for
the south
Australia
east.
with that
Melbourne,
line
you've
in a
had
World
5
Cup
millimetres of rain. You've got a
on
shower
one of the
or two
biggest
still
stages
around.
in the world
It is
as
clearing
well.
off though, a top of 17. Some wet weather
Be rained
developing
off
for
on the
Hobart,
first,
18 degrees there.
Game in Australia at the tournament, the big game, England-Australia. But the weather is good and it's hot.
Davey Warner's been in special form right throughout the summer. Strike rate of 85 and that best of 163 in 2012 has been outstanding. And for Aaron Finch at the other end, well, if he could match Davey Warner, he'd be very, very happy. He's got a wonderful strike rate and averaging 37. I reckon he's better than that. He played 42 games in one-day international cricket.
Antagonist James Anderson for the Australians, and I think he'll enjoy these conditions.